Just again, in a nutshell, what we said yesterday, that these initiatives are very easily accessible because they are meant and they have been designed for young people as a primary target and as main beneficiaries, meaning that rather than being an established organization, you can access to this kind of fund even if you're just an informal group of young people. What you need is a minimum of 5 young persons, aged between 18 and 30, that will constitute the main core group on the application. One of these 5 persons will take on the role on paper of somehow representative or coordinator of the group, but that doesn't mean that then this person necessarily has to then coordinate the activities. It's more of a legal matter, so somebody has to be held accountable, because anyway it's European funds that are going to citizens, and so somebody needs to be somehow guaranteeing for the right and proper use of those funds.
Can I have a question?
Yeah, of course.
Person, does he or she needs to have like a residency in that city? Is that
not in the city, in the country? Yes.
So in the whole country?
Yes. Yes. So it is not needed that the residency is from the specific city, as long as the young people have a residency in the country that you are applying from. That's okay. As I said, 5 is the minimum, so a group to apply for this kind of project cannot be smaller than 5, but it has no limit in terms of maximum number. So if you want to be 20, you can put 20 on the application. That's perfectly okay. You can apply both or either, I would say, as a group of informal young people, or you can apply through an organization, meaning that still on the application you will need to put the name of this group of minimum 5, but you can say, we are asking this specific organization for support or guidance. As I anticipated yesterday, this support or guidance should be anyway, or at least it is expected to be mostly limited to the administrative part. So it could be that then for you it's easier that the money are sent to the organization, that maybe then if you need to incur in some cost and make invoices, then is the organization with the budget that pays that you invoice to the organization. But it shouldn't be that the organizations are using the program to run their own activities. Yeah, so it is always meant as some sort of mentorship or support, but not as something that takes over the work that the young people want to do. That's also why the program allows you to indicate in the application form if you want to be followed or supported by a coach. A coach can be a person that is not necessarily between 18 and 30, can be older than that, so it doesn't have any age restriction. And technically is also somebody that is not deeply involved in the project. It's more somebody that is an external impartial figure that can either support you through the process, or also providing you specific training on maybe something that you miss, because you could be, hey, well, like we are full of motivation and we have our text ready, but we are lacking, for example, contacts and how to build a network in city. Maybe this person is very good at giving you specific inputs on that. So how do you do networking, or how do you do fundraising? How do you do team building? Any skill that you think may be missed from your group, you can ask to the coach or more than one coach to support you. As we said, the projects of this kind, so solidarity project, can be planned for a minimum of 2 months and a maximum of 12, so 1 year. And you receive, whenever you ask and you fill in the application, you receive a fixed amount of money per month, according, of course, to the number of months that you have chosen. So if you said I want a 3-month project, then it's 500 per 3, 1,500. So the maximum you can get in that sense is 6,000, because it's 500 multiplied 12. Yeah. The cost of the coach is extra. So these 6,000 are only the pure cost for the implementation of the project. Since it's a program that is being designed for young people, the accounting of this kind of project is super easy. So basically it's one voice of cost, it's project cost, which means that a lot of things can fall into that, and that you don't have to then stress about different voices of budget. You will find in the Padlet the guide from the European Solidarity Corps. I've extracted specifically the page that talk about this initiative. They're like 4 or 5 pages, quite easy and simple to understand, where you can see more also about what is considered an eligible cost, what not. But as I was saying yesterday, most of the general costs that we face as map creators, they fall into the eligible expenses. So anything from printing to distribution, all of these expenses can be labeled as proper eligible expenses. For the coach, instead, you are allowed to ask for support for the coach, and that is measured in days. So similarly to the number of months, you have a number of days that goes from 0 to 12 maximum. And for each of those days, you get, again, a fixed amount of money per day. That changes because many of the European programs, they have this voice of cost that are regulated according to the country that you are applying or presenting the application in, because technically it is adapted to the general cost of life or labor of that country. So in the guide you will see that according to whatever is your country, the cost for the coach may change. It goes from a minimum of 74 to a maximum of 241 euros per day. So that means that, for example, if your country falls into the lowest band, if you ask for 10 days of coach, you will get 740 euros. Yeah? Of course, beside the other voice of cost that we said, the 500. But if you are in the highest band and you ask for 10 days of coach, that would be 2,400 euros. So that changes in that way. You may object that in some cases it's fair or unfair. Unfortunately, that's one of the few things that until now we really haven't been able to influence that much as beneficiaries giving feedback. So, for example, in our case of Viterbo, we had a project of 1 year, so we had 6,000. Then we asked for 12 days of coach, which was the maximum we could ask.
Not included in the budget.
Exactly, and that means that our final budget was 8,000 something. Yeah.
Okay.
So the 6,000, they are fixed and they don't include the cost of coach. If you ask for coach, that's an extra budget that you get. You can have more than one coach, but anyway, in total, you cannot ask for more than 12 days. So you could say, I want 6 days of this coach and 6 days of this other one, or 3 days of 1, 3, 3, 3. They can be as many as you want, but they cannot exceed 12.
Split among those.
Yeah. And if you are asking for a coach, they would like you to say already in the application who is this person and what's their profile, why did you think of that person to be your coach, and so what kind of skills or competencies do they have, so to better understand why you're asking for budget for this particular profile, because you could ask for it and then say, yeah, we'll get a guy, and then they're like, okay, yeah, I'm giving you 3,000 euros for a guy, and then they're not really sure what that guy does. It could be a very good guy, but who knows. But so just to know that this needs to be detailed in the application, so you need to think about it before you apply. No, I mean, also because it depends very much on what you think it serves you. Because it could, as I said, it can be somebody that maybe has a specific expertise on something, so you as a group want to be trained on something. Or it could be that maybe you want simply somebody that is external and follows you through the process. So maybe somebody that checks in with you and says, so how are you doing? Do you need anything? How is the group dynamic going? So it can be very, very various as a profile. It could be that you are working now as a master chef, but you're a great coach and motivator and you have a set of skills. So it doesn't really matter what's their current job, but of course you need to be able to explain and to describe in a coherent way why that person would be your choice as a coach. Okay. So of course if you're like, okay, so this person will teach us social media and he has a background in juggling and he really likes cats, they will be, okay, great, I'm happy to know about that, I also like cats, but is he the right person to teach about social media? So anything that can help the Commission understand why that person is fitting, that is great information to add. There are 3 deadlines per year, so they change. Now we will need the exact dates of 2023 when the new guide will be published, but more or less they're usually all around the same period of the year. One is usually by the end of February, beginning of March. One is around the end of May, and one is the beginning of October. These are more or less the time frame. The way that it usually works is that when the project is approved, if it is approved, you receive 80% of the budget straight away. And then the remaining 20%, you will receive it once the project is finished and that you submit the final report. So once they approve the report and they say, okay, well, it looks like you did what you promised that you were doing, it looks nice, congratulations, here is the remaining 20%. That means that those 20% of the money, though, you need to spend them anyway during the project. Yeah, so it's money that you will need to advance, which, according to the amount that you're asking for, it could be more or less challenging. But that's also one of the reasons why I think that this kind of project can be great to provide you some ground base. So you know that you have for sure some of the costs covered. But then you can, ask also for co-funding, so that doesn't mean that you cannot still ask money to the authorities or to other entities that may support the project. And also that maybe you have a bit more flexibility on something that can be paid later. So even though I know that this is not always super ideal, but as staff, as a coordinator, I know that maybe it would be more difficult to print the map without paying the printing place, but I can wait maybe just a few more months to get my share as a coordinator. So in that sense, you can try and play and see what kind of money you need to pay immediately and that they cannot be delayed, and which are the voice of cost that you can play a bit with. You will need to find a way that makes it visible. So like it can depend, for example, if you are applying through an organization, it can be that this person, I don't know, it can be employed by the organization or have some kind of contract. Or if this person is a freelancer, most likely they will invoice you for the sum that is expected that they receive. So you will need to establish anyway some sort of official contract with the person in order to be able to prove that you are paying them.